Hi guys. So, it's been a long time since I've done a video at all. I think we're at almost 2 months since I posted a video, and if you can tell by the title, lots been going on. So, I got diagnosed just about a month ago with melanoma, and it's stage 4 melanoma, and I did not have a mole or anything. What happened is around my birthday in October, I didn't feel good that weekend. My glands were swollen, and I noticed I had a bump back here. If you can see, Doug's pretty big. We have named him Doug, and if you watch Family Guy, you know. It was not this big. It's actually really inflamed right now, but I thought it was my gland back here because both back here were swollen. This one was definitely more. It felt different, and my front glands were swollen. So I, called my doctor and I talked to the nurse, and they're like, oh, your glands do swell. You do have some in the back. So that's probably what it is. If it doesn't go away in a few weeks, let us know. So a few weeks go by, didn't go away. It wasn't bothering me. That's the other thing. This did not bother me at all. So I went, I tried to make an appointment with my doctor, found out my doctor left the practice, so I had to get assigned to a new doctor. Couldn't be seen for a month. If you've tried to make doctor's appointments lately, it's like ridiculous. But it just so happened that Ed had his physical a week before mine. He goes into the office and they no longer take our insurance. Like, okay. So he canceled his appointment. I canceled mine because I'm like, they're going to run tests because it still hadn't gone away. And now we're at almost 2 months at this point that it had been there. So I find a new doctor. I can't get in until the first week of January. This was the week we found out about the insurance issue was the week of Christmas. So couldn't get in until the first week of January. No big deal. Again, it was not bothering me. 2 days before my appointment, I started getting like these little shooting, tickling feelings. And it did grow a little bit. So I was like, well, maybe it's just pushing on a nerve and it's sending, like when your hand, like, any part of your body falls asleep and then that tingling afterwards. That's what it felt like. And it was just shooting a little bit off the top and the back. And I was like, it's got to be pushing on a nerve. But it was happening more frequently those couple of days before my appointment. The morning of my appointment, it was really bad and actually uncomfortable. So I was like, that's all right. I'm going to the doctor's in a couple of hours. I'm getting ready to leave, like getting everybody ready. My friend was coming over to watch the kids. I knew she was going to be coming in the door like any moment. My doctor's office called. My doctor got tested positive for COVID. And now I had to reschedule my appointment for 2 weeks out. And I'm like, I actually started crying on the phone at that point to the nurse because I'm like, there's something going on. Thankfully, our new doctor's office is attached to an urgent care. So I went to the urgent care. My friend literally walked in the door as I was talking to the nurse. She's like, go to urgent care, see if you can get an appointment. So I went to go make an appointment. When I left, you had to because they're just, so it was the beginning of January. So it was a surge down here of the virus. So everyone's trying to get tests and everything. So you had to leave your name and number and they would call you. So when I left my name and number, the receptionist was like, I should be able to call you in about an hour. Right now it's looking like we're going to be scheduling after 5 o'clock tonight. And I'm like, okay. So my friend stayed for a little bit and the kids played and then she left. So Ed was he should have been home in time for this appointment, or my nephew was going to come over after he got out of work because he gets out of work at 4. They call me back. I can't be seen that day. I can be seen the next day, right when they open at 8 o'clock. Cool. I go in. Doctor was super nice. He did blood work immediately. Blood work came back fine. He wanted an ultrasound because he wanted to make sure. He thought it was a lymph node. And he wanted to make sure it was. So that's why he did the ultrasound before started treating anything. He's like, I want to make sure. Is it a lymph node? Is it a mass or something? I get a call later that afternoon. It was my lymph node. It was too big to just not do anything, so I had to have a biopsy was the next step. So this was a Thursday afternoon. The nurse, when she called me, she's like, I got you scheduled for 8:30 Monday morning for a biopsy. I was like, cool. Ed took the morning off from work so that I could go. He also took this day that I had the doctor's appointment. He took that off. His boss was super fine with it. He has the best boss. But they were actually slow, so it kind of worked out. Thank you, love. So we did all that. I go have my biopsy, and the person doing the biopsy, the doctor, she's like, you're going to be sore later. She's like, where it is, she's like, I have to literally go through your muscle to get to it because it's one of the ones that are there. So it was very painful afterwards. Thankfully, I was numbed, but painful afterwards for a couple days. It swelled up. It was a whole nightmare. I was so bruised. So anyways, she's like, you'll get results in 2 to 3 days. Cool. So it's Monday. She's like, Wednesday, Thursday. Nothing Wednesday. Nothing Thursday. I called the doctor's office Thursday. Had to leave a message. Didn't hear anything back. So I'm like, all right, Friday. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll hear something today, you know. Mia was actually sick that day. So thankfully, it like distracted me. I wasn't really paying attention. I talked to Ed about 1. He's like, hey, have you heard? I'm like, no. He's like, all right, I'll be home in about an hour, hour and a half. I was like, cool. Just about 2 o'clock, I get a call from the doctor's office. And it was the nurse saying that the doctor wanted me to come in to get my results. And I was like, okay. She's like, not an appointment. She's like, just when do you think you'll be here? And I'm like, I can be there in about an hour because I knew Ed would be home. So when I got off the phone with her, I called Ed and I'm like, he wants me to come in to tell me your results. And we're just both we just had gut-wrenching feeling at that point. We go in. He's like, it is malignant melanoma. And I was shocked. I had my jaw open. He's like, yeah. He's like, that's not even on the list of things I thought that was wrong with you. Like, he had an idea of what he thought it was. He's like, that was not it. So he actually checked me to see if I had any moles or anything. And he's like, nothing looks suspicious. He's like, this is weird. He's like, okay. He's like, before I had you come in, I had the nurse, the receptionist, they scheduled me with an oncologist for a week and a half. So this was a Friday. I had an appointment on a Tuesday, not that first Tuesday, the second Tuesday. So a week and a half out. I was like, okay. So I get back in the car. Ed drove me with the kids. He stayed in the car with the kids. They were watching a movie, had a snack. I come back out. He looked at the piece of paper because the doctor had written it down. And he's like, all right, we'll be fine. I was crying. You know, I'm trying to stay positive. But I'm like, being told you have a cancer of any type, you're like, I didn't really know how to think. So we came home. It was a tough weekend. We processed everything. I'm not going to lie. I cried for days off and on. And it made Ed and I really have some pretty deep conversations because, let's face it, you never think of crap like that. You never think you're going to have to deal with that or think of the bad things. And his mom has gone through cancer twice in the past 4 years. So we have dealt with, you know, the chemo and the radiation with her. And she got so sick. And it was just me thinking of how the hell am I going to take care of my kids while going through treatment. And my in-laws were like, you're going to just come live with us in Myrtle. You'll have treatment down here. You know, we'll help. So we're thinking, I'm literally preparing to have to relocate to Myrtle for months for treatment. We go to our first oncology appointment. He was super nice. You know, he's like, I want to do a ton of tests. He's like, I need to take the biopsy and dissect the crap out of it because with melanoma, it mutates. And so he's like, I need to look at how yours mutated. He's like, because how it mutates matters how we treat it. He's like, because there's certain mutations that work better for certain treatments. So I'm like, cool. We also had to have a PET scan, which is your whole body scan with radioactive dye. Had to have that done. So I do all of these tests. I also did go see a dermatologist in the meantime. I did get into it with one. She found one little spot right here she was concerned about. She did a biopsy. It came back benign. So that wasn't the source. So all of this, and so I had to have the scan to see exactly if it is anywhere else. I got the results back last week, and we found out that it is stage 4 melanoma. Now, that sounds scary. If you know anything about the stages, it goes 1 to 4. 4 is technically the worst. But when it is already in your lymph nodes, it's already stage 3. So I was already at a stage 3. So I knew that. Stage 4 freaked me out a little bit. He goes, but wait. He goes, it is stage 4 because it is in more than one lymph node. So we have Doug. He's the biggest. And then there is another one right back here, which is starting to grow too. Or it is bumped. And then I have one right by my clavicle. So I have 3. So the one by my clavicle is not big at all, but it is there. And then these 2 right next to each other. But he's like, the way yours mutated, the mutation I can't even pronounce, but how it mutated, the treatment for it is 2 oral medications and potentially an infusion via IV once a month after I start the meds. No chemo, no radiation. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, well, what about surgery? Because usually they get removed. He goes, the medication should shrink them and make them go away. He goes, if not, we will remove it. Because where it is, as obviously you can see, their surgeons don't like to perform surgery here because you have so much going on. We already know there's a muscle there. You've got arteries here. You've got so much nerves. They really do not like it. So as long as the meds will shrink this, which they should, I will not have to have surgery. If it doesn't, and then we go from there. So as of right now, I am waiting for my insurance to approve the medication because, hey, what's the matter? Because you gotta put a piece in the middle. Oh, okay. She's trying to belt the bag to tile. She's too far out. So anyways, so we're just waiting on the prescriptions because it's $22,000 a month for the meds. But my doctor's like, do not even worry about it. He's like, we take care of it, or we talk to the American Cancer Association or Society. Everything, it's just a whole insurance runaround, which I'm not even shocked that they're giving them that they would give them a hard time, because insurances don't want to pay for that crap. But yeah, so we had a really shitty time. We had all this time thinking we were preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best, and we really did get the best. Like, the only better thing would be, it's not cancer, it's just something we need to remove. Like, that's literally how I feel. So this week has been better. I'm able to be more relaxed. And the other thing with the medication, he said the worst side effect people usually have is a low-grade fever while they're on it. And I'm like, a low-grade fever? Like, that's it. So I can deal with it. Now, obviously, my body might react a little differently to the meds. I might have a little bit of a harder time. But just to know that I'm not going to have to go through chemo and radiation is amazing. Once a month IV. I do still need to be monitored. I will actually have to see him once a week. They do blood work. They take, they measure the lymph nodes to make sure that they are shrinking and doing what they're supposed to do, and that my body's not reacting weirdly to the meds, because it can affect your liver. I also had to have an echocardiogram, which is for your heart, just to see everything in there and to make sure there's nothing, that I don't have any damage. But I do have a history of, I have a family history of heart issues. So I'm not shocked. But actually that's standard for cancer treatment, is you do have to get it, because you do have to have an echo, because they want to see where your heart is to start off with. And that way I will keep having these scans throughout treatment, because if it starts to damage, we'll have to adjust meds and stuff. So, yeah, I'm still in shock a little bit. I mean, it's hard when you get told you have cancer. But I'm hopeful, because we can treat it very mildly, and I'm just so relieved. It was a tough month, and I was doing so much to keep myself busy. I actually spring cleaned my whole house, because I'm like, I probably won't be able to clean in the spring. So I deep clean and organize the house. I potty trained Mia. She's fully potty trained. Well, she's daytime potty trained. Nighttime, not so much. We've only been potty trained for a month and 2 days. So, but daytime, no issues. She doesn't have an accident at all. We go out. Goes on public potty. She has no problem. It's amazing. So, I mean, I am trying to look at the positives through all this. I'm trying to just keep it very positive. So there's good things that come out of it. And, obviously, yes, Ed and I had to have some deep conversations. And, one of them was, I knew that we had done life insurances a while ago. And he's like, I know we did a policy for me. He's like, did we do a policy for you? I'm like, yes, we did. So, that kind of stuff, those kind of conversations, you just never think you're going to have. And it was hard. But it also made us realize that we need to make us more of a priority. We actually were in the middle of all this. We had gotten the diagnosis, and, waiting for oncology. And I was like, you know what, Ed and I really just need to get out, just the two of us. And so I was like, when was the last time we had a date? Like, outside the house? And I realized that in 2021, we had 2 date nights. We usually do date nights at home, but to leave the house, we had 2. And I was like, that's not good. So I immediately texted my nephew. I was like, hey, next Saturday, can you come watch the kids for a few hours for us to go on a date? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you guys haven't gone on a date in a while. I'm like, we had 2 in 2021. He's like, wow. He's like, yeah, you gotta go. And he knew what was going on. So obviously he, was in agreement. And then I called Ed and was like, no, we went out more than that. And I'm like, okay, then tell me where we went. And he's like, oh my, it was only 2. I'm like, yeah. So, you know, prioritizing us, doing more with the kids. Not that we didn't do anything. Good job. Give it to Robert and get dressed, please. We've got errands to run, so I'm trying to get everything ready. But yeah, so that's what's been going on. That's why I didn't post. I mean, I think the last time I posted was right after Christmas. And I had planned on taking like a break right at New Year's anyways. I just knew I needed to regroup from Christmas, and then this just happened in the middle of it. So it just kept going, and I didn't feel like doing an update saying, oh, I'm not going to post for a while, because I was an emotional mess. As you can see, I'm fine right now because I've processed this, and I am very happy with where it is. And, you know, everything happens for a reason, and that's how I'm looking at it. And I'm just I feel relieved. I mean, you know, once we start treatment, obviously, you know, we'll adjust as, you know, everything happens, but that's where we're at now. So I'm fine, other than, you know, it is, as you can see, it's swollen, so it is sore. But other than that, like, I don't feel it anywhere else in my body. Like, I'm not fatigued. I'm not anything else. It really is just, it's a pain. And there's not much I can do until it starts to shrink. There's no room, so there's just a lot of kind of pressure. And the only way I could describe it at the beginning when it started to grow was like when you wear a ponytail and it's too tight and it's like pulling your skin. That's how it feels right here. Just because there's no room. It's not supposed to be like that. So other than that, I'm doing fine. I will keep you guys updated as much as possible and as much as I feel like sharing. But that's what's going on. I am hoping to start filming again. It probably will not be consistent in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to, like, be consistent with it. I'm just, if I feel like filming, I'm going to film. I finally feel like putting out a video, so I'm doing that. And I actually have a couple that I want to do. So I think I might do that. And then, you know, if you get a video a week, that might be what happens for a while, because I'm just still processing it. I mean, as I said, I feel like I'm come to terms with it, but it's still a lot. It's a lot of doctor's appointments. It's a lot of so much. I'm just a lot to deal with. You go potty? Yeah. So that's where we're at. Everything's fine. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update and know what's going on. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I will see you guys soon.